Just in, Princess Leonor marries Prince Christian, the world reacts. Bells ring, crowds cheer, cameras flash. The world expected beauty, but not this. A royal wedding unlike any other, emotional, raw, and impossibly grand. Just in, Princess Leonor of Spain has married Prince Christian of Denmark, and the world cannot stop reacting. For weeks, Europe buzzed with anticipation. Two royal houses, two nations, one fairy tale that seemed too perfect to be real. Yet today, that dream became history. As the first images of Princess Leonor appeared outside Zarzuela Palace, the internet erupted. She wore a gown unlike anything seen in modern royal history, a creation of Balenciaga, blending the past and future of Spanish elegance. The intricate embroidery shimmered under the Madrid sun, each stitch carrying symbols of unity: Denmark's rose, Spain's star, and the initials L and C intertwined across the hem. It wasn't just fashion, it was storytelling in silk. Prince Christian arrived moments later, calm, regal, yet visibly emotional. His uniform bore Danish insignia with a subtle Spanish cross, a powerful nod to both heritages. For a moment, the crowd went silent. You could almost feel the weight of history settling into that moment, two worlds colliding, yet perfectly aligned. Inside Almedina Cathedral, the ceremony unfolded with breathtaking grace. Over 800 guests, monarchs, dignitaries, and family, filled the hall, but the focus never left the couple. Every look, every whisper between them felt genuine, untouched by protocol. As Leonor walked down the aisle, escorted by her father, King Felipe VI, the emotion was visible in his eyes. The young princess, once the shy heir of Spain, now stepped into her destiny as a woman, a wife, and one day, a queen. The ceremony itself balanced centuries-old tradition with modern warmth. Readings were shared in both Spanish and Danish, symbolizing the blending of cultures. Queen Letizia and Queen Mary exchanged smiles across the aisle, two mothers watching their children shape the next chapter of Europe's monarchy. When Leonor and Christian exchanged vows, their words were soft but strong. "You are my peace," she said, voice steady. "You are my courage," he replied, his hand trembling slightly as he placed the ring on her finger. And then, the moment that broke the internet, the kiss. It was simple, unforced, and utterly human. The cathedral erupted in applause. Cameras flashed like lightning. Within minutes, the footage spread across every platform, millions watching, millions sharing, millions crying. But as always, with beauty came curiosity. How did this union really begin? What did it take to bring together two of Europe's most powerful royal families? And what does this marriage mean for the future of both thrones? Their love story began quietly, years of friendship nurtured away from the cameras. Childhood meetings at royal gatherings blossomed into a bond that defied distance. For a long time, it was whispered about, glimpses of smiles at public events, rumored private letters exchanged between Madrid and Copenhagen. But it wasn't until last year's state dinner in Denmark that the world saw the truth in their eyes, affection impossible to hide. Behind palace walls, however, things were not always simple. Sources close to both families spoke of tension over protocol, the Spanish monarchy's tradition versus Denmark's modern approach. How would the wedding balance centuries of symbolism with the reality of two young royals raised in a digital age? That delicate question defined every decision, from the seating plan to the floral arrangements. Yet in the end, Leonor and Christian had one condition: that their wedding reflect them. Not their titles, not their duties, but their love. And somehow, they achieved it. The reception that followed was unlike any other royal event. A fusion of cultures, flamenco strings met Danish waltzes. Guests danced beneath chandeliers glittering like frozen starlight. The newlyweds' first dance drew standing ovations, graceful, youthful, radiant. It wasn't choreographed perfection, it was pure emotion. But the internet's obsession wasn't just with the ceremony, it was with the moments that slipped past official cameras. A fan-captured clip from outside the cathedral went viral, Christian whispering something that made Leonor laugh, her eyes lighting up like the city around them. Another unseen photo from the palace gardens showed them walking hand in hand, heads tilted together, lost in their own world. Those unscripted moments made people believe in fairy tales again. The reactions came fast. Global media flooded headlines. A wedding for the ages. The fairy tale Europe needed. When love outshone royal protocol. Hashtags trended for days across continents. But the comments, those were the real story. Thousands of fans wrote about hope, about unity, about believing in love that crosses nations. One user wrote, "For the first time, royalty feels human again." Yet as the celebrations continued, subtle tensions lingered. Reports hinted at uneasy dynamics between some members of the royal households, differing expectations, and spoken rivalries. Every camera captured smiles, but insiders whispered that behind the scenes, certain traditions had sparked quiet debate. Still, Leonor and Christian seemed untouched by it all. The next morning, they stepped out for the official photo session, radiant, composed, and genuinely happy. Leonor wore a soft ivory dress for the after-ceremony portraits, her hair loose, her expression serene. Christian stood beside her, hand resting gently on hers, both exchanging glances that spoke louder than any royal statement. But what truly stunned the world came days later, the footage no one expected. Official wedding highlights were released by both palaces, revealing tender behind-the-scenes moments, Leonor adjusting Christian's collar before the ceremony. The two laughing nervously moments before walking down the aisle. A quiet embrace when the music faded and the guests cheered. It wasn't staged. It was real. And that authenticity shattered the image of stiff, distant monarchy. Suddenly, millions saw them not as royals, but as two people in love, vulnerable, imperfect, yet deeply connected. Royal experts called it a turning point for European monarchy. Political analysts noted how the union strengthened ties between Spain and Denmark, bridging two cultures in a moment of global visibility. Even fashion critics praised Leonor's gown as redefining bridal trends, calling it the birth of royal minimalism. But beyond the grandeur, beyond the internet's obsession, lay something more meaningful, the symbolism of youth and renewal in royal bloodlines that once seemed rigid. This marriage wasn't just about love. It was about evolution. As night fell over Madrid, fireworks painted the sky in gold and crimson. The palace balcony lit up once more, as Leonor and Christian waved to the crowds, newlyweds, symbols, and yet, still just two souls beginning a shared life. The cheers below rose like music. Cameras caught every smile, every glance, every heartbeat of history. And even as the livestream ended, the story didn't stop. Across continents, people replayed clips, posted reactions, and debated what this marriage meant for the monarchy, for tradition, for love itself. Some called it the last great fairy tale. Others, the start of a new royal era. But everyone agreed on one thing: Princess Leonor and Prince Christian had done the impossible. They made the world believe again. Because love, even royal love, still has the power to unite nations, inspire millions, and yes, break the internet. And as the palace lights dimmed, one thing was certain: this wasn't just a royal wedding. It was a story that belonged to everyone. A reminder that no matter how grand the crown, it's the heart that truly reigns.